Sleeping Story Part 1. It was late at night, the kind of night when the world outside grew silent, and the only sound that remained was the slow rhythm of breathing, the whisper of the ceiling fan, and the gentle throb of two hearts lying close together. Ayaan and Lena lay side by side, sharing the same blanket, their heads resting against the same pillow. The room was bathed in dim golden light from the bedside lamp, a glow soft enough to make the space feel intimate, almost magical. Ayaan turned slightly on his side, facing her, his hand resting just inches away from hers. Lena's eyes were half closed, tired from the long day, yet unwilling to surrender to sleep. She liked these moments the most. The hours when the world slowed down, when they were just two souls whispering into the night, suspended between wakefulness and dreams. "Are you sleepy?" Ayaan asked softly, his voice no louder than a murmur. Lena smiled faintly. "Not yet. I don't want to waste the night sleeping too quickly." Ayaan chuckled. "You call it wasting? I thought you loved sleep." "I love sleep," she said, turning her face towards him. "But I love this more. Talking to you like this." Her words settled into the quiet air like a feather landing on water. Ayaan felt a warmth spread through him, not from the blanket, but from her presence. He reached out slowly, brushing the back of his fingers against her arm, a gentle touch, almost hesitant. "You know," he said, "sometimes I think these moments are more real than the whole day. All day we run around, busy, distracted, but here, it feels like time finally belongs to us." Lena's lips curved upward. "That's because the night doesn't judge us. The night doesn't rush us." Silence lingered for a while. Their breathing synchronized, as though their bodies had tuned themselves to the same quiet rhythm. She shifted slightly closer until her forehead nearly touched his. "Tell me something," she whispered. "What?" "Anything. A story. A thought. Something you've never told me." Ayaan looked at her face, the way the dim light outlined her features, her lashes casting faint shadows, her lips carrying the softness of unspoken secrets. He thought for a moment. "All right," he said, "but you have to promise you won't laugh." She nodded, eager. "Promise." "Okay. When I was a kid, I used to be scared of sleeping alone. I thought if I closed my eyes, the shadows in the corners would move. I used to keep the light on all night." Lena giggled softly, covering her mouth with her hand. "That's so cute." "See, you laughed," he protested. "No," she said quickly, "that wasn't laughing at you. That was laughing because it's adorable. Now I can't imagine you being scared of anything." "I'm still scared sometimes," he admitted quietly. "Not of shadows, but of losing things that matter." Her smile faded into a tender expression. She reached for his hand under the blanket, intertwining her fingers with his. "You won't lose me. Not in this lifetime, Ayaan." The simplicity of her promise filled the room with something sacred. Ayaan tightened his hold on her hand, as though anchoring himself to that vow. Minutes passed, uncounted. They began drifting into stories, memories of their first meeting, of awkward conversations that had once seemed impossible, of dreams they whispered about during daytime but never explored as deeply as they did at night. "Do you remember the first time we walked home together?" Lena asked suddenly, her voice tinged with amusement. "How could I forget?" Ayaan replied. "You refused to look at me the whole time. You were staring at the road like it was the most fascinating thing in the world." Lena laughed softly, her shoulders shaking. I was nervous. My heart was beating so fast. I thought if I looked at you, you'd hear it. I heard it anyway, he said. I felt it. The night stretched around them, yet instead of fading into sleep, their words built a world of their own. Every sentence was a bridge, every pause a doorway to another layer of intimacy. Sometimes, Lena whispered, her voice almost a sigh, I wonder what we'll be like years from now. Will we still lie like this, talking until one of us falls asleep first? I hope so, Ayan answered without hesitation. Even when we're old, even when we're tired. I want us to keep talking until our eyes can't stay open anymore. She pressed her head against his chest now, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. Then promise me, she murmured, that no matter what, we'll never stop sharing nights like this. I promise. The fan kept spinning, the clock kept ticking, yet inside that room, nothing else mattered. The rest of the world could wait. The night had settled deeper now, almost wrapping itself around the small room like a blanket. Outside, the world was asleep. No cars passing, no footsteps in the lane. Only the occasional sound of a distant dog barking or the wind brushing past the window. Inside, however, two people were wide awake, not because they weren't tired, but because they refused to let the moment slip away. Lena shifted slightly, curling closer to Ayan until her head rested comfortably against his shoulder. She closed her eyes for a moment, inhaling the faint scent of his shirt, one that reminded her of comfort, of safety, of belonging. Ayan, feeling her warmth against him, lowered his voice even more, as though the intimacy of their closeness demanded a gentler tone. You know what I love most about nights like this? He asked. Lena tilted her face upward, her eyes gleaming softly in the dim light. What? That I don't have to share you with the rest of the world, he whispered. In the day, you're distracted, calls, errands, people. But here, you're only mine. She smiled, her fingers tracing idle circles on the back of his hand. Possessive much? Very, he admitted with no hesitation. She laughed, a quiet sound that blended perfectly with the silence of the night. And what about me? Am I allowed to be possessive too? You already are, he teased, raising an eyebrow. I've seen you glare when someone else tries to get my attention. Lena gasped playfully, lifting her head in protest. I do not glare. You do, he insisted. Your face may look calm, but your eyes give you away. Lena groaned, hiding her face in his chest. Fine, maybe a little, but only because I don't like sharing you either. Ayan chuckled, pressing his chin lightly against her hair. Good, then we're even. Silence crept back, but it was not empty. It was filled with the unspoken comfort of two people who didn't need words every second to feel connected. Their breathing sensed again, their bodies naturally adjusting to each other's rhythm. Lena was the first to break the quiet. Do you ever think about the future? Like, really think about it. Beyond tomorrow or next month? Every day, Ayan replied without missing a beat. And what do you see? He thought for a moment, his gaze fixed on the ceiling as though his vision were painted there. I see us, waking up together, not just in stolen nights like this, but every morning. I see us building a home, not perfect, but ours. I see fights over silly things, then making up because we can't stay mad for long. I see kids running around, probably driving us crazy, but also filling our world with laughter. And in the end, I see us like this, two old people, lying in bed, still talking until sleep takes us. Lena's heart clenched at the sincerity in his voice. Her eyes grew moist, though she didn't let him see. She tightened her grip on his hand. That sounds beautiful. It will be, he said with quiet conviction. She stayed quiet for a while, just listening to the beat of his heart. Then, in a softer voice, she asked, "And what are you afraid of?" Ayaan hesitated. Afraid? Yes. Everyone's afraid of something. He took a deep breath. I'm afraid of time. That it moves too fast. That I'll blink. And all of this will be gone, or changed, or lost. Lena lifted herself slightly, enough to look into his eyes. It won't be gone. Not if we hold on. Ayaan stared at her for a moment, then nodded. And you? What are you afraid of? She smiled faintly, but her voice betrayed her vulnerability. I'm afraid of waking up one day and finding out this was just a dream. That none of it was real. He cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. Then you'll never have to wake up. Because this is real, Lena. As real as it gets. Her chest tightened with emotion, and she leaned in, pressing her forehead against his. The closeness, the words, the truth in his tone, it was enough to silence every fear. They stayed like that for a while before Lena's playful side resurfaced. All right, let's change the mood. Tell me something funny. Something stupid you did. Ayaan groaned. Why do you like embarrassing me at night? Because you can't escape, she said mischievously. Fine, he sighed. Once, when I was in school, I had a huge crush on this girl. I wanted to impress her, so I tried to play football in front of her. Long story short, I tripped, fell flat on my face, and the whole class laughed. Lena burst into laughter, clutching her stomach. Oh my God, I wish I'd seen that. No, you don't, he muttered, covering his face with his hand. Actually, I do. It would have made me like you even more. Really? Yes, she said firmly. Because people who can laugh at themselves are the ones worth loving. Ayaan dropped his hand, staring at her with a mix of disbelief and admiration. How do you always turn everything into something profound? It's my superpower, she replied smugly. They laughed together, the sound echoing in the small room like music. Slowly, their laughter faded into giggles, then back into comfortable silence. Lena yawned softly, her body finally starting to give in to the pull of sleep. She cuddled closer, her voice drowsy but still warm. Promise me one more thing, Ayaan. What? That no matter how busy life gets, no matter how tired we are, we'll always keep these nights. Just us. Just talking. He kissed the top of her head gently. I promise, Lena. Always. Her breathing began to slow, her body relaxing against his. She was drifting now, but even in her half-asleep state. Her fingers stayed tangled with his, refusing to let go. Ayaan stayed awake a little longer, watching her, memorizing the serenity on her face. And as the night deepened, he realized that the conversations they had in these quiet hours weren't just words. They were threads weaving the fabric of something eternal.